feel better and I'm exercising and that sort of thing, I am kind of new and improved. And when you exercise, it does this thing to your brain that automatically makes you think. I think they call those endorphins. I'm not going to get all technical on you, but I know something really magical happens to me. When I exercise, immediately I start thinking, whether this makes a physical difference or not, I feel better doing it for my body. Whether, there's any vast, hey, you look like you've been working out, hey, you look like you've lost weight or whatever. I know that internally there is a core that I am affecting that's making me, what I like to say, is stronger. So my new and improved word is stronger, and how we represent ourselves out there. So if the companies are getting away with it and putting it on packaging and we're buying it, imagine what you could start telling yourself about you and your story that says, extreme, new packaging. Try for 30 days, and try for 30 days is my message to you today. Give it a go. Do something new every day that you didn't do the day before. And I don't care if you were already doing the 10 jumping jacks to make you laugh like I told you to do. Keep in mind, I can't do a jumping jack, and it's one of my favorite things to do. And because of my fractured ankle. So don't take the jumping jack for granted. It's an important, cute little exercise that not only feels good, it's going to make you laugh, and you're going to feel 10 years old again when you were looking at all your friends in gym class and nobody was doing it right. Or think of if you were lucky enough to have kids when you were trying to teach them how to do a jumping jack and just trying to get everything coordinated. So the jumping jack is a pretty important thing. All right? So give that a go. And if it was those that you were doing, then do 5 toe touches or reach to the sky or whatever it is. But every day, try something new for your packaging, for your brand, for you. Do that. I guarantee you it will make a difference in your life you will not believe. There 100%. I have no qualms about this whatsoever. You try that, it's going to work. So I started about thinking seriously about packaging and our brand, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but maybe not in such detail. I told you guys I was born with a port wine stain on the right side of my neck, and it's red, and I'm very pale. I'm ivory. My skin is almost transparent. I'm just, so that red, at the time, I've seen home movies of me. I mean, I can imagine the shock and everything that my parents felt because they probably had never seen anything like it. And there's this little community of us, and we always call it a birthmark, but it really is a port wine stain. And what it is the color of the skin, the outer layer epidermis, did not cover up this. It's a blood vessel, really, is what it is. So being a little girl, and my parents getting ready to send me off to school, we tried everything. They took me for what they call dermabrasion. That's where they literally burn your skin off. They wanted to do the skin grafting, where they would take skin from my behind and put it on my neck, and then I would have a scar on my butt and a scar on my neck. And I said, I was a little girl making decisions. No, I know I don't want that. And so all through my life, I can't help it. All of my brothers and sisters, absolutely perfect. Perfect skin, perfect teeth, perfect bodies, beautiful eyes. And there I was walking around, and I had a couple of teeth that my genetics, there are teeth that don't come in. So through school, before I got braces, I had to walk around with this look to me. And all 3 of my daughters did it. They all had to have braces. Unfortunately, they got my teeth. So I had that. I had the birthmark, port wine stain, that I was covering up. And kids made fun of me. I mean, they did. They called me, when redneck came out, they called me redneck. And I was always, every picture you see of me, I'm smiling with my mouth closed because I was so embarrassed. about my teeth and this. But what I did was, this is where the horse with the long face, and I knew that I had to overcome this somehow. So instead of, yeah, and they did make me cry. I mean, kids in school are mean, they did. But instead of it really, really getting to me, because at home I was teased a lot too. I mean, everybody there's 7 kids. Everybody was getting picked on. But I started trying to become funny and making people laugh, thinking, if you're miserable enough to be making fun of somebody for something they can't change, you must need a laugh in your life. So I would just start trying to be funny. And that was my medicine. That was how I overcame things. So, but in the meantime, I'm putting this makeup on. That was finally our prescription. We found this makeup, and every morning my mom would put it on me before I knew how to put it on myself. All of my life, I had worn this. And then I had my first baby, Caitlin. I was 32 years old, and they had, there's been something that had come out, and it is, oh my goodness, it just slipped me. But basically, it's like getting a tattoo. It's like a reverse tattoo, and there is a procedure that they can do where you lay there and they almost bleach the birthmark white, to match my skin. And it's laser. All right, see, it just took a minute. So this laser therapy, and then they go through. Okay, so I went through probably 2 treatments, and it was really kind of cool because the birthmark used to be a little bit raised. But what it does though, and I don't mean to mess anybody up over your morning coffee or anything like that, but in order to heal, it gets a little bit of a scab on it. And my daughter was, I want to say like a year and a half. And she was getting old enough to notice it. And what she did was she was worried about my air quote boo-boo. And she said, "Mommy, your boo-boo." And she grabbed my neck like you would, I don't know, I even know, almost like you were pulling weeds, because it got in her little fingers. And it hurt so bad. And all I did, I just grabbed her arm and I just kissed her hand, and I, don't ever do that again kind of thing. I didn't get mad or anything, but tears started rolling down my eyes because it really hurt. And I made a conscious decision that day to never do anything to that again to get rid of it. And never was I going to put makeup on it again. Because I just decided that day, and we were on a business trip with my now ex-husband, but when we were married, we were on a business trip. He invited us, and we were in a hotel in Chicago, and we were way up, and I looked outside, and I'm looking over at the skyline, and I just said, I will never put anything on this again. I just made that decision that, you know what, this is the way God made me, and I'm going to leave this alone. And I decided that I was going to walk through anything that I had been trying to hide with makeup, collars, turtlenecks, anything through all my life. And however simple and stupid this sounds to some people who are really hurting, who really have pain, who have really big issues, who can't walk or whatever, this was my cross to bear. And I needed to start getting through it, because I was raising a daughter who I wanted to be happy with herself no matter what. So I made that decision, and it spawned a little when my kids, they inspired me to write. I've written all my life since I was 5 years old. I've written stories, poems, name it. If it could be written, I was trying to write it, and it inspired me to, with this whole branding thing that we're talking about, the only reason, because it wasn't a health issue, the only reason why I was trying to cover it up, and this is just raw truth, I was sick and tired of people staring and pointing, and babies in the store worried that it was a boo-boo, and then their moms shamed them for looking at me. And I really, it's my issue. It's between me and God, and I needed to get through it. But that was why I wanted people to stop staring at me. I couldn't take it. I didn't want kids sitting on the right of me in school. Imagine that in those classes of 30 and trying to find the strategic seat where somebody isn't looking at it. And folks that love me and people that, are near and dear to me, they've always said, "Oh, I don't even notice it. I don't even notice it." But it's there. But I feel completely different about it now. I don't wear anything on it. I haven't worn anything on it. And quite honestly, the laser treatments that I had made it flush with my skin. So it's soft like the rest of my skin. But it inspired me to write something, and I ran into it. Excuse me, guys. And I ran into it in looking for some things because I'm putting together another book. And I ran into this. And based on everything that we're talking about, I thought it would be a good tie-in, and I wanted to share it with you. And so if you will bear with me. And by the way, I haven't read this in I don't know how many years. But in addition to that, it was written in 1993. So this is called The Art of Staring. Again, Katie was born in 92. This was written in 1993. So a real good chance that I'd written it after that had happened. So here we go, guys. Let's see what this says. The Art of Staring. Webster's definition of staring: to gaze intently, a fixed, wide-eyed look. At what point do we call a stare an insult or a compliment? I am the owner of a port wine stain on my neck that is about as big as the average human fist. When I was little, my father, who has since passed away, used to say, "Honey, how do you know that when people stare at you, they aren't looking at how beautiful you are?" Now, being a typical, suede father, that would be a perfect response to an awkward 10-year-old girl who wanted to know why people gawked at the red mark on her neck. Soon after, we had found, when I was very little, a cosmetic to cover the stain, and every day since then I had covered this mark so that I would feel more confident when going out in public, and for myself to simply pass by a mirror. Yes, I was different. There aren't many of us. My ex-husband has the same kind of stain on his ring finger of his left hand, or is it his right? I truly don't know. The basis of my story is that I have decided, like many others, to have the stain surgically removed. Yes, at the ripe age of 33, I am confident enough to now walk with my birthmark exposed for all to see. You see, you can't wear makeup in the early healing process of treatments. My point is this mark is simply a different coloration of my skin. I am Caucasian, so the contrast of the berry coloring against my ivory complexion is tremendous. My father is no longer here to give me the support of telling me what a beautiful woman I have become. And then that must be what they're looking at. Are we so groomed in society to look at imperfections? Who taught us this? Is it the nature of humans? And furthermore, I'm a fun-loving person. I like and enjoy people. The feeling of discomfort that is given when someone is staring at you can be removed instantly by sharing a friendly smile. We are all here for a reason, and my reason for writing this is simply to suggest that in the future, if you find yourself staring at someone because they're a little different, we ask that you end that stare with a friendly smile. And when your children ask with innocent curiosity, "What is that?" don't shame them for asking. Simply give it your best and tell them. So, in sharing that with you, obviously I opened it with telling you that since then, and it was very soon after, I realized if I'm walking around with this, wounded, lasered mark on my neck showing the world, what difference did that make if I just left it the way it was? And so as you're out there in the world, if you can, if it's possible, You know, you might be all wrapped up in something, but if you see somebody that's a little bit different, you know, and you find yourself